All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Waharakak Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elder bishops, and the elders of the great millstone, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect out of total in his truth. And Shalom to the few sisters, the Akwathium, that listen and learn in silence. To all of you, I say Shalom. I'm the brother Pathak Amath GMS Dallas. I'm just coming back at you with a really quick hit lesson. Really, it's going to be kind of a double, like two lessons within one, But the title of the lesson is going to be "The Nation of Edom Are the Vessels of Dishonor Fitted to Wrath and Destruction." But I wanted to also really quick make a quick point dealing with the nation of Edom. The nation of Edom is biblical. White people are not biblical. You type white people, into the blue letter Bible, you're not going to get anything saying white people. What you'll get is a scripture that has the word white in it, and then later on in the scripture it has the word people in it. But white people like flowing together, you're not going to get it. It doesn't exist, man. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not a nationality. That's a social construct, which these devils came up with back in, I believe it was 1681 or 1682, 1681, I believe. Of course they called themselves white and called the so-called African Americans, the Southern Kingdom, black. You know what I'm saying? And that's not biblical. Now, of course, you'll see black in the Bible, but of course, all these things are prophecies. The Lord knew that we were going to be called black and bywords and proverbs and the whole nine. Really, when you get technical, it's only two color schemes according to the Bible, and that's brown and red. Of course, you got different shades of red. You got different shades of brown, all the way from a lighter complected brown all the way down to a deep dark chocolate brown, which looks almost black. And then you have the color red, man, and you got different shades of red, from a light red to a very dark, almost maroonish color red, man. All different shades of red. So you devils, you so-called self-proclaimed white people, which is why we call you so-called self-proclaimed, because you did that. You put that term white on you. You're not white, man. And everything that comes with white is positive. Everything comes with black is negative. You know what I'm saying? And that's, you put that positive connotation and spin on you, and put the negative connotation and spin on the so-called blacks. The Southern Kingdom, the darker nations, the darker of the nation. That's not biblical, man. You're not white. You're red. You know what I'm saying? That's what Edom means, reflecting in the title, the nation of Edom, which means red, are the vessels of dishonor fitted to wrath and destruction. So real quick, let's get Genesis, the 25th chapter. Wow. Genesis, the 25th chapter, and we'll drop down to verse 30. This is Genesis 25 and 30, and it reads, "And Esau said to Jacob, Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom," which Edom means red. As a matter of fact, let's real quick. Well, I don't know why I did that. Salakia. I want to go into the word Edom real quick. I believe that's Adama or Adama. And it's when you go into the outline of biblical usage, as you can see right there in the first, in number 1, it says Edom equals red. It's right there. And when you read verse letter B, it says Edomite, Idumean, descendant of Esau. So when you see the words The word Idumea, is talking about Edomites, which go back to their forefather Esau. When you see Edom, it's talking about the same nation, Idumeans, Edom. It's just a Greek way of saying Edom. Let's go back to their forefather Esau, man. So, but it means red. It's right there. Edom means red. So you're not white, man. You're red. That's why when you read up in the chapter, verse 25, Genesis 25 and 25, it says, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. So, and Esau means, basically means wasted away as he, you know what I'm saying? Because his pigment was taken, you know what I'm saying? So, as a matter of fact, let's read this in the NLT real quick. To the right of your screen, verse 30, to the right of your screen, it says, Genesis 25 and 30, it says, Esau said to Jacob, I'm starved, give me some of that red stew. This is how Esau got his other name, Edom, which means red. So Edom means red, man. We looked it up in the linear. So you're not white, man. You're red people. You know what I'm saying? And as a matter of fact, let's go to Revelation 6 and 4 real quick. Because it's still dealing with you Edomites. This is Revelation 6 and 4. And there went out another horse, which horse represents power, that was red. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. So it says and there went out another horse. Horse represents power. That was red, man. Going into the same thing. That power represents rulership, man. When you dive into it. But let's real quick. Let's go to Job 9:24 because it proves the point. This is Job chapter 9. I'm going to jump down to verse 24. Job 9:24, and it reads, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, wherein who is he? So it said the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So real quick, let's go into this word hand. H3027, and it's yada. And in the outline of biblical usage, it says hand of man. There it is right there. B, strength, power. So the wicked are the earth being given into the hand or the power of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, wherein who is he? And we know who did that. The Edomites, man. That's why the scriptures, when you go into the Maccabees, it tells you that he, when it sought to go into the book of the law, which is the Bible, and sought to paint the likeness of their images, roughly paraphrasing. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, who did that? The so-called self-proclaimed white man, woman, and child. That's why if you Google anything, biblically, you're going to get a so-called white person. You know what I'm saying? Because they're the ones that did that. So that proves who this is talking about when it says the earth is given into the hand or the power of the wicked. It proves who the wicked is talking about, man. You got these bugged out jakes that don't have a clue, man. Talking about Japheth and all kind of manner of madness, man. Stop, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's very clear who this is talking about. It's talking about the so-called self-proclaimed white man, woman, and child, man. So the earth has been given into the power of the wicked. So let's go back to Revelations, the 6th chapter, and verse 4. And read it with better context now. It says Revelation 6 and 4, and there went out another horse, represents that power, that was red. Yeah, Esau. They're not white. They're red people. We read that in Genesis. His name was changed to Edom, which means red. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Now, whose blessing was the sword, man? You know what I'm saying? Let's go real quick to Genesis, the 27th chapter, And we're going to drop down, and we're going to start up a little bit. The point is in verse 40. We'll start around verse 34 and read down to verse 40. Point is in verse 40. Genesis 27:34. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried. So we know this is dealing with Esau. He cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father. And he said, Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing. And he said, Is not he rightly named Jacob, which means to supplant, or Yaquab in the Hebrew, which means to supplant? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he hath taken away my blessing. And he said, Hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, Behold, I have made him thy lord, and all his brethren have I given to him for servants. That's why all of them are going to slavery, into slavery in the coming time when we get to the kingdom of heaven, man. And with corn and wine have I sustained him. And what shall I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Yeah, crying all the time, man. That's what they do still to this very day, crying. Verse 39, And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. So he gave him a temporary carnal blessing, man. And here's the point, verse 40, And by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that happened during the time of what's known as the Renaissance. The Renaissance or rebirth. Rebirth of what? White supremacy, the rulership of the so-called self-proclaimed white man, woman, and child, man. Prior to that, it was the Dark Ages where Jake was ruling. You know what I'm saying? So, but it says at the top of verse 40, And by thy sword shalt thou live. And that's exactly what he's done, lived by his sword, man. That's why in Revelation, the 6th chapter, he was given that great sword to take peace from the earth. And that's exactly what these devils have done, proving exactly who they are. So, but all these terms are dealing with the red, with that red, man. You're not white, you're red. Revelation 6:4 again, And there went out another horse that was red. There it is. And power was given to him. Yeah, the earth was given into his hand to rule and to take peace from the earth, with that great sword, which was his blessing. We just read it in Genesis 27:40, man. You know what I'm saying? And that they should kill one another. So let's read this in the NLT as well. See how the NLT words it. Revelation 6:4 NLT, to the right of the screen, it says, Then another horse appeared, a red one. Its rider was given a mighty sword and the authority to take peace from the earth, and there was war and slaughter everywhere. And that's exactly what you've seen, man, over the course of dispensation of this devil's inception, basically. But since he's come into power, man, into rulership, you know what I'm saying? So just proves who's who, you know what I'm saying? You're not white, bro, you're red. The Bible calls you red. Edom means red, So real quick, let's get one more to make this final point, and then we'll move on to the second part of the lesson, which is what the title actually reflects. This is Revelation 17:3. It says, So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. As a matter of fact, let me take the Salakia parallel off. So it says the scarlet-colored beast. Now, real quick, let's go into this word scarlet. Get a definition. Scarlet.
Scarlet. Scarlet.
Yeah, scarlet. So a scarlet-colored beast. So scarlet is a brilliant, bright red color with slight orange undertones, often associated with passion, courage, or vibrant clothing. Yeah, whatever. But as a matter of fact, let me see something. Let's click on this. Okay, yeah, that's what I wanted. So you can get these different patterns or the different color reds, man. You know what I'm saying? You see one right here. you know, and well, there, right here, that's a little bit darker than these over here. But if you care, let's go down here to, and you have this one right here. You know, all these are different shades of red, just proving what I just said prior. You know, you go on a little chart right here, you see the different, you know, blood red, crimson red, dark red, maroon, blood orange. All these are in the family of red, man. You know what I'm saying? And then you have a shade chart here. You know what I'm saying? Scarlet, dark scarlet, deep scarlet, scarlet, what, Crayola, scarlet rose, scarlet orange, bright red, bright scarlet, burnt orange, what is that? Blood orange. Okay, my bad. Burnt orange, dark rust, which is a deep dark red, dark salmon, dark tomato, flame scarlet, Indian red, light coral, pumpkin, which people think pumpkins are red, orange. Well, this is actually in the shades of scarlet, man, which is red. It says red, rust, scarlet, Pantone, scarlet, what the hell? Web safe, scarlet flame, vivid crimson, vermilion, and tomato. So all these are different shades of red, man, you know. And so you got the different charts. So just, you know, you get the point, you know, those different shades of red. So that's crimson, man, you know. So when you deal with the word crimson, also, another little side note is where you get the word crime from. Crime, you know. So crimson is where the word crime goes back to. And what was the first crime family? What the hell is this? Hold on. What the hell are they talking about? Yeah, see, internet ain't the same no more, man. There it is right there. The Bourgeois first crime family. You see it right there. So look at boy, this crap, man. Now, yeah, it's all different now. AI be lying. You know, they got AI set up to lie, man. The first crime family goes back to the Bourgeois, man. You know what I'm saying? There he goes right there, Rodrigo Borgia, Pope Alexander the Sixth. You know, Cesare Borgia, which is whom they portrayed as the Messiah. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got that fake picture going around. You know, which actually goes back to a deity known as Serapis Christus. And then you got his sister Lucretia Borgia, which was, you know, he was committing incest with. You know what I'm saying? And then Juan, which was the brother that I think that he killed, that Cesare killed, but which Cesare was his favorite. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so there you go. This is the first crime family right here. Which crime again? That's where you get it comes from the word crimson, which means red. And you see what they look like? Look at them. Look at them. Let's look at this double right here. You see him? You know, he's not white. He's red. You can clearly see he's red. You know. Click on this double right here. It ain't no picture of him. Yeah, you can see it. You see it. You know, so-called whites. So, which they're not white, they're red. And I will click on her. Yeah, you see it. So-called white, which they're red, you know. So there it is, man. They're the first crime family. So, you know, that scarlet colored beast, you know, which is red in color. Scarlet means red, you know. Revelation 17:3. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the 7 heads represent the those 7 Edomite kingdoms or rules, you know, which consisted of the British, the Spanish, the French, Germania Major, Germania Minor, the Greeks, and the Romans. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, the 10 horns, which the majority of those, you have the beast still to this day, which the majority of those nations are still part of the NATO to this day. You know what I'm saying? Which is that same beast, you know, this beast system, which, you know, those are all Edomite nations, you know, rules. And the 10 horns, of course, represents the EU, the European Union, formerly known as the EEC, the European Economic Community. So, you know, but there you have it, and which is, again, you know, that scarlet colored beast, that red beast, man. You know what I'm saying? Which is the same system that we're in to this day, man. You know what I'm saying? So you're not white, man. You're red. Your biblical nationality is Edom, which means red, man. So real quick, let's just, you know, I'm gonna try to blow through this, you know. And the Lord is going to destroy you devils, man. You know what I'm saying? You're the vessels of dishonor fitted to wrath and destruction, man. So real quick, you know, this is Malachi chapter 1 and verse 3. In verse 3, it says, "And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness." So the Lord said he hated Esau, which Esau, Edom, you know, Mount Seir, all these things are synonymous. Matter of fact, let's prove that real quick. Genesis 36 and verse 8. And it reads, "Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir." Esau is Edom. So Esau, Mount Seir, Edom, they're all synonymous, man. So I'm talking about the same nation of people, man. You know what I'm saying? So let's go back to Malachi, the first chapter, and verse 3. "And I hated Esau," so the Lord hates these people, "and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness," because he's going to destroy them and he's going to turn this place into a desert, man. "Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua of armies, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness." You know, they're the border. Everywhere they go, they set up and establish and bring forth wickedness, man. "The people against whom the Lord hath indignation or righteous anger forever." You know, so he can't stand these people, man. You know what I'm saying? And nothing you can do about that. You're not going to change it up, you know. The Lord is a man that he cannot lie, and he's not the author of confusion. He tells you that. So let's go to Romans real quick. Romans, the 9th chapter. And we're going to jump down to verse 13 to reiterate that fact. Salakia. Romans 9 and 13, "As it is written." Where is it written? We just read it. Malachi, "Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated." So the Lord hates Esau. And this is what's coming to these devils, man. Drop down to verse 22, Romans 9 and 22. "What if the Most High, willing to show his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much long suffering the vessels of wrath fitted to destruction," man. You know, so that's what's coming, that wrath and destruction, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what you got to look forward to. As a matter of fact, let me see how this reads in the NLT. No, Salaki, I didn't mean to do that. Romans 9 and 22 in the NLT, right on the screen, it says, "In the same way, even though the Most High has the right to show his anger and his power, he is very patient with those on whom his anger falls, who are destined for destruction." Exactly, you devils, man. You know, that indignation that we read, you know, that anger that's going to fall upon you, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he created you to destroy you, man. You know? Yeah, that's what it is, bro. So let's get one more. Let's get Isaiah, the 34th chapter. And we're going to read verse 5. And we'll read it. We'll read in both, you know, to the left screen, KJV first. Isaiah 34 and 5, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. Idumea, that's a Greek term for Edom. We went into that earlier. To the right of the screen, Isaiah 34 and 5 in the NLT. And it reads, and when my sword has finished its work in the heavens, it will fall upon Edom. There it is. Idumea is a Greek term for Edom. This Idumea and Edom are synonymous. The nation I have marked for destruction. So they're marked for destruction, man. There's nothing you can do about it. The nation of Edom are the vessels of dishonor fitted to wrath and destruction. And the Lord is going to destroy you people, man, because he hates you, not my words. The words of the Lord, man. He hates all these nations. Isaiah the 40th chapter goes into that, So hey, it is what it is. He says you're nothing, less than nothing, and vanity, man. So empty. There's nothing to you, man. And he's going to destroy you. So hey, it is what it is, though. But Lord willing, this was edifying to the hopeful elect, giving all praises, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elder bishops, and the elders of the great millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect, the house of David, the Bayath Shah Dawada. Shalom.